You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the Chris Voss Show. My voice is not holding up. We're on our third show of the day, and my voice is not holding up, which means all the more reason you people need to listen to the 2 or 3 shows we do a weekday, 10 to 15 a week. And the Chris Voss Show has been coming to you for 15 years with all the brightest minds, the CEOs, the billionaires, the authors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, the people who advise Congress and presidents. We've had some of those brilliant minds on the show, and then there's just me. So I don't know. So I got on the show because I own the mic, and that's how I got on. And I got $5 per show. So and they named it after me too, and so I felt obligated. Anyway, guys, we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we have the most amazing guests, and I'm excited to talk about our guests today. We're going to talk about my favorite subject, or at least I'm told that if I don't agree it's my favorite subject, they will probably eat one of my shoes. Who's a good dog? And How to Be a Better Human is the new book that just came out September 6th, 2023. Jessica Pierce joins us on the show. And we're going to be talking about her. She's written quite a few books about dogs and humans, and we're going to find out what it means. And we're going to learn how to be better humans, because that's really what the Chris Voss Show is about, because we all need that. And especially those of you who have been listening to me for 15 years know I could use some work. So there you go. Jessica Pierce is an internationally acclaimed bioethicist. Her work spans from broad considerations of human responsibilities for nature to detailed explorations of human-animal relationships. She has published 11 books, including The Last Walk and Run, Spot, Run, both also published by the University of Chicago Press. Her essays have appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Guardian, and Scientific American. She's a faculty affiliate at the Center for Bioethics and Humanities at the University of Colorado, Anschutz. Is it Anschutz? Anschutz Medical Campus. I flunked second grade, as everyone knows, and she didn't. She lives in the Colorado Rockies. Welcome to the show, Jessica. How are you?
Thank you, Chris, for having me. I'm doing well.
There you are. And it's wonderful to have you as well. Give us a .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs to get to know you better?
JessicaPierce.net.
There you go. And so you've written 11 books. This is your newest book out. What motivated you on to write Who's a Good Dog and How to Be a Better Human?
So, yeah, you would think that one would run out of things to say about dogs and dog ethics. But the more I think about it, the more I have to say, which maybe that's a scary thing. Who's a Good Dog was motivated really by my current dog, Bella, who I've lived with for about 11 years, who is not a good dog by cultural standards that are well accepted today. And, for many years, I thought, what's wrong with Bella and what's wrong with me for having a bad dog? And finally, just the more I thought about it, the more it came to me that Bella is not the problem. The problem is our unrealistic expectations about dogs and how they should behave and who they are. And that Bella is actually a good dog, that all dogs are good dogs. There are no bad dogs. And so I really wanted to focus in on my relationship to her and how she has invited me to be a better human being.
There you go. My dogs have helped make me be a better human, help me be more empathetic, helping me connect to be presence. I mean, there's a lot of things I've gone on with my dogs. They've always been by my side and so loyal in their journey and unconditional love. But I'm still trying to get them jobs. Is that what you mean? You can't get Bella to get a job? Because that's what I'm trying to get mine to get a job. They keep laying around the house and not paying rent.
No, yeah. Well, she actually has a job that she takes very seriously, and that is herding the family.
Oh,
She's got herding genes in her, and so she spends her day. What I describe her in the book as a wee dog, W-E, wee dog, and her job is to keep everyone who's in the household, in as much the same place as she can, or she'll get us into one room or make sure that she knows where everybody is and that everybody is accounted for, and protects us importantly from the magpies.
Oh, the magpies are evil. We have those in our
Very
backyard.
dangerous.
Yeah, mine do the same thing. So she's kind of a herding dog, where she herds you guys kind of like the sheep and keeps you. I have this image of you guys being herded around like those Australian sheepdogs do.
That's how it is.
Wow.
She's got us under her thumb.
Wow. Well, we know who owns the roost, which is probably the same over here. So give us a 30,000 overview of the book and what's inside, please.
So it's about how to think with more curiosity about your relationship with your dog, and how to, I think most of us who live with dogs love our dogs tremendously and worry about what it means to do the right thing for our dog. So my book is not full of answers to the question, what's the right thing to do, but it's full of ideas for how to think about and figure out for yourself what you think might be the best way to give your dog a happy life. And, I have been concerned about pet dogs because I think they're under a lot of stress right now. I think anxiety levels are high, frustration levels are high, and human expectations of dogs are really off the charts unrealistic. And what happens then is, people think that they have a bad dog and maybe punish their dog or try to make their dog into somebody else, where maybe a better strategy is to collaborate with our dog and maybe meet them halfway and try to change ourselves and our home environment to meet the dog's needs rather than expecting the dog to always be adapting to meet our needs. So it's really about how to do the best we can for the dogs that we love. And it's not an easy job. There's a lot to it.
I totally agree. And sometimes there's times where you have dogs that have issues, shelter dogs you might pick up where they maybe had some abuse and been treated poorly. And, maybe they've been on the streets and they've picked up some bad habits. But, the dogs are, in my experience, pretty pliable if you're a good human being to them. And you do have to put in the work to train them. They're not like, they just don't come out, to be a certain way. And so it's kind of up to you. I find that, tell me if this is true, because I've seen a few people that are very bad people that have dogs that end up behaving badly. It's almost like some dogs are a reflection of what kind of human beings we are. Their behavior and characters.
Yeah. And I think, especially maybe when it comes to crazy, our crazy gets reflected onto and into and through our dogs, which is understandable. I mean, they're so emotionally synchronized with us and so empathetic that I think they're often really like sponges for our emotional chaos and psychological problems. And I think we can be more mindful of who we are, and in being more mindful about who we are and how we are in the world, we can put less of that baggage onto our dogs.
There you go. What's that saying that people, I've seen them joke around on Facebook? It's a meme. My job in life is to work as hard as I can to be the sort of person my dog thinks I am or thinks I should be.
Yeah. And I think there's actually, it's a meme and a cliche, but I think there's a lot to it. And, if our human loved ones can't motivate us to be a better person, maybe our dogs can, because we really perhaps love them. Yeah, I wouldn't say we love them unconditionally, but maybe with slightly fewer conditions than the humans in our lives.
Definitely. I mean, really, I think the only unconditional love one gets in this world, especially as a man, is from a dog. Women, kids, and frogs and pets get unconditional love. Men do not. So that's why they call it a dog is a man's best friend. And so, my dogs, they know they're incredibly intuitive in feeling stuff. Like if I'm in pain and I'm suffering, they'll come in and start licking me and trying to give me attention, trying to get petted, just trying to take my mind off it, bring me toys they want to throw the ball or whatever, Dad. Sometimes if I'm laying down and I'm hurting, or if I'm stressed out about something, it's interesting. Like I can go lay down right now and they'll just be like, maybe take a nap or something, and they'll just kind of like, yeah, whatever, Dad's doing his thing. But if I'm stressing about something, and they don't really know what I'm stressing about, I know somebody wrote some ugly thing to me on an email, and I'm like, whatever. And so I'll go lay down and stress, and they will come in and start licking with me, and cuddling on me, and just being in my presence and just being a support thing. But then if I'm not really stressing about anything, they're just like whatever. They're huskies, so they're kind of like, we don't care what you do half the time. We got things to do. But it's interesting how intuitive they are, and how they pick that up. Yeah.
They really are. I have the same feeling with Bella, and part of the message in my book is that I think we are often less intuitive about how our dogs are feeling, and less in tune with their emotional needs than we could be. And we can do them the favor of returning the sensitivity. And, as an example, I think sometimes our home environments are kind of stress inducing for dogs. There are a lot of noises that can be, that can make dogs feel afraid or unsettled. Even the beeping of a microwave, or God forbid, in my house, we have an extremely sensitive fire alarm. So anytime I'm cooking, not even occasionally I burn stuff, I must admit, but if I just let the oil smoke or something, the fire alarm goes off, and it's awful. Poor Bella. It takes her several hours to recover. So I try really hard not to do that, just for her sake. The smells that we bring into our home, and always giving our dogs baths so that they smell like tea tree oil or lavender, or whatever it is that we think they should smell like, other than dog. And so I think returning the favor that your dogs and my dog show us, and just emotional sensitivity.
There you go. And it's really important too. I have to learn to listen to my dogs too, and what they're stressed about. And maybe Bella is concerned. I can't speak for Bella because I don't speak dog, but maybe what she's concerned about, she knows that it's danger. She knows that there's a potential for danger. And it's interesting how they intuitive that way. But my dogs are great at calling out my hypocrisy whenever I'm in the bathroom. They tend to come in. I can be anywhere in my home, and they usually won't bother me unless I'm in my kitchen, because that's treat central.
Yeah, that's a very important location.
Yeah. And it's sucker time. We can guilt him into giving us treats. Their treats are right there on the counter, Dad. Just hand them over. They'll follow me in the bathroom and give me that hypocrisy look, like, you trained us to do this outside, but you get to do in the house, and you're full of it. You're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
We just want you to know that we're on to you and your business. And but no, being in touch with them, yesterday my little one was coming in, and she was just being really needy. And I finally had to recognize that she was being needy, and I didn't know what was going on with her. And I still don't know what was going on with her. So I had to get up, and I tried playing with her. She wanted to play, and she just wanted to be petted and kind of cuddle a little bit. I still don't know what was going on with her. Maybe she wasn't feeling well, but I had to give her the comfort she usually gives me when I'm in pain or while I'm feeling bad, she comes and, hey, Dad, you're feeling bad. Here's a funny face and a cute smile and a look
Yeah.
to cheer you up, and here's some kisses on your face to make you feel better, and there you go. And then it kind of helps you become grounded again too. I think my dogs help me become grounded and stay present, where they kind of remind me of gratitude a little bit, to be grounded, where I go, hey, you know what? This hill of beans or that email doesn't matter that pissed me off. It matters this wonderful being here that loves me unconditionally and puts up with all my stupidity and stuff and still thinks I'm the greatest dad ever. This is the thing that matters the most. I don't know. That's my thing.
I agree. Yeah. Everything you say, I'm right there with you.
So, and I think your book's important because being a better human is what my dogs have taught me. There was a time where I was going through a huge ADHD. I was suffering from a year and a half of doing hospice care for my one dog and still in recovery. And I was having problems with being present, and I was completely out of tune. My head was screaming at me, and I could literally be petting my dogs and half talking them. And I was not there. I was just in the world of overwhelm of ADHD thoughts and grief and sorrow of all that stuff that goes on through the stages of grief. And I realized that I just wasn't present in my own life anymore. There were times with my dogs where I realized that I'd gotten a little bit too narcissistic and I needed more empathy and I needed to be more human. And just their warmth and loving and being human made me realize how valuable they were. Loss is important as well. These guys are only with us, if you're lucky, 10 to 15 years, 16.
Yeah.
It's a really small window.
It is.
And as humans, we have to realize that sometimes the time we need to spend with them is I don't want to say more precious, but it kind of is, because anything can happen to someone we love. They could be taken away in an accident or some sort of severe thing that's unfortunate. But dogs pretty much are on a solid timeline. They're pretty much on a 10 to 15 year timeline. Yeah. So their time is really short that they spend with us.
Yeah. And they, whether willingly or not, they give us their entire life.
Yeah.
And you can't say that about, a spouse you're only with as an adult, and maybe not even for an entire adult life. Your child grows up and goes off, hopefully, and becomes an independent person.
Get him out of that basement.
Yeah. The rent's going up tomorrow. And I think that's one thing that to me triggers a real sense of gratitude for Bella. Is she's given me her entire life. Mm-hmm. And I'm it. And the quality of her life is in my hands. And that's a huge responsibility. It's kind of stressful, actually.
Yeah.
And that's one of the themes that I try to explore in the book, is just this feeling that there's always more you could be doing. And there are things like leaving a dog home alone, which are just kind of painful. And I think make almost everybody I know who has a dog feels uncomfortable leaving them at home. They feel bad. When they're gone, they're thinking about their dog who's left at home alone while they're out, at a party or whatever it is. And so there's a lot of guilt and uncertainty that gets woven into the human dog relationship. And I think it's helpful to just take those emotions head on. Say,
It is. We have to realize that we have all of our friends. We've got people we can talk to online. We got people we can go hang out with. We got family that we can leave the house with. A lot of the world isn't dog friendly. And you can take your dogs with you, but there's stores you can't go into. I always would love to I've always joked about having a dog gym where there's like a doggy daycare and a gym. Like they
Yeah,
have us for babies. You can put your baby in the dog in
that's a
the
really good idea.
daycare for a gym. Why not have a?
That has to exist somewhere.
Why not? I think
Yeah,
maybe it possibly could be some people have dog allergies and they never be able to join the gym,
yeah,
but
that's true.
that's not my problem. That's their problem. And you know, I'd love to take my dog. I'd take my dogs everywhere if I could. And you know, sometimes there's a danger. I worry about them running away. You know, you don't want to leave them in a car, of course, and different things. You want to make sure they're having a good time. And sometimes, you know, my older dogs got to the point where they didn't really want to go in a car anymore. They reached
Yeah,
the point of age where they're just like, I just want to take out a good nap. They're kind of like me now. I just want to
yeah,
take a good nap and screw the world. I got sleep.
yeah. Bella's at that point now. She just
Yeah.
doesn't have much interest in going anywhere, which is really sad.
Well,
But also
yeah.
that's her choice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, as long as you're there for her. But you know, being important, like you know, we have to play the Chris Voss Show podcast when I leave the house, so that they don't get too upset. My little baby one, she's a daddy's girl, so she's not happy. My older one is like, yeah, whatever with that dude, screw him. I mean, again, Siberian Husky.
get out of here and give me some peace.
Yeah, Siberian Huskies, you know, they're just like,
Yeah.
you know, they're just like, you know, whatever. You're just, you know, you give them commands, and they're just like, yeah, well, take that under advisement. Yeah, sure. That's cute. You
Yeah.
got some ideas there, buddy.
Yeah.
Have fun with that. We'll be back. We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
But
We'll see if it aligns with our agenda.
yeah, we'll see.
That sounds like Bella too.
Yeah.
She's,
Yeah. But yeah, I think you in helping people educate them on being in tune to their dog, what's important to them. The emotions of the dogs are important as well. You know, I babysat my dog through a year and a half of hospice care with cancer, and so you know, dealing with her emotions, being attuned to what she was going through every day, and then trying to have fun, or you know, sometimes she'd want to play and other times she want to sleep. But yeah, these little beings are only with us for a short time, and so I like you know what you've talked about here. What is a bioethicist?
yeah. So
What does it mean?
So bioethics is a field that it's not somebody who studies dogs and ethics. That's not an obvious job description for a bioethicist. It's kind of the niche that I have grown into over the course of my career. But bioethics is also known as medical ethics, and it's a field that explores questions of values and ethics and philosophical issues that arise at the intersection of ethics and the biomedical sciences. So, for example, you know, one of the classic issues in bioethics is how do you fairly distribute scarce medical resources, or you know, how do you deal with issues at the end of life where there may be a conflict between quality of life and quantity of life. Yeah. Is it ever okay to hasten somebody's death, or you know, is euthanasia okay? And obviously, there's an overlap there with how we relate to and interact with animals, and that's actually how I first started writing about animals as a bioethicist, was in the context of end of life care. And you know, we have this really rich conversation in human philosophy circles in bioethics about human end-of-life issues. And there wasn't that same rich conversation about animal end-of-life care. But in my experience with my dog when he was dying, the ethical issues were every bit as complex and painful and complicated as they are in the human realm. I'm like, so why, you know, let's talk about animal euthanasia and the ethics of that, and hospice care and the ethics of that. And here I am.
Is that in this book, or?
No, that's in my book, The Last Walk.
Okay. The Last Walk. There you go. You know, that was something I dealt with, and if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about it a little bit, because I want people to give this more thought. one of the things that I found with, as dog owners, we get that comment that I think you would agree we dislike when people go, it's just a dog, right? Ever
That's
say that to you?
the worst thing anybody could say.
It really lacks soul and empathy,
Yeah.
and seeing a living being as completely disposable. Is pretty incredible, or just not having an empathy for something suffering. And one of the challenges I dealt with was with my dog early on. My dog got one of these weird infections and cysts in her neck inside, and it started showing itself in the jawline, and it was a weird anomaly that basically there are sometimes infections that can happen between organs. So they're not in the organ per se, they're in between, in just this floating cell structure. And so we had, I took her into 3 doctors. 2 of them were saying, you got to put her down. Yep, she got cancer. You got to put her down. Look, you can spend all this money to get, all the stuff done, but your dog's 14 years old. Come on, dude, quit being a jerk to your dog. Literally, that's what they told me. This is almost verbatim. Put your dog down. And I had this weird, cheap, almost back alley type doctor. In fact, they shut him down for about 3 weeks because he wasn't keeping his records right. But he was a great doctor, brilliant. And he was just bad at the business end of things, I guess. But I remember I walked in and he looked at my dog. He said, walk around. He used to do that. Walk around, show me how she's walking and stuff. And then they looked at her and he goes, I think she's going to be okay. Take her home and see if we can get through this. And I'm like, I got 2 doctors telling me to put my dog down. I got 1 doctor telling me everything's fine and he thinks it's going to be fine. And he was really bad at communicating. He was from China or somewhere over in the Asian area. And I was just stuck, and we gave her penicillin, and the penicillin wouldn't work. And so, it has to be cancer. The penicillin's not doing it. It's got to be cancer. And this thing just kept getting bigger and bigger on her neck right here. And so I had people writing me on Facebook privately, you need to quit being a jerk. You need to put your dog down. You're extending its life and blah, blah, blah. And my Chinese doctor, he's like, that dog's still running around. The dog's still having fun. The dog's still peeing and pooping. Everything's working in the plumbing. He goes, I think I know what it is, but you just got to ride it out. And I don't think he knew what the term was for it. There's actually a term for this infection. So I resisted the 2 other doctors that kept telling me to put her down. I kept rotating the 3 doctors trying to get the right opinion. And I would tell them what the other one said. And they're like, that dude's crazy, man. And so we wrote it out, and Christmas Day, I kept having so much pressure online to put her down. Christmas Day, or it was the day before Christmas, the day after Christmas, and it had grown fairly large, almost to about a golf ball size. And I'm like, holy crap, she doesn't seem like she's having any fun. She didn't seem like she was in too much pain. And so I made the decision I was going to take her the next morning and put her down and do what the other guys were telling me. And I announced it on Facebook. I said, I'm going to go put her down tomorrow. I don't know what to do. Everyone's telling me, whatever. And just everybody was running me around. And we woke up the next morning and blood was coming out a side of her gums right here. And so we cleaned it all up, and I rushed her over to the doctor, the Chinese doctor. And he goes, yep, it's just what I thought it was. He goes, it's a special infection that runs between the organs, and it just needed to get air so that we could fix it. And it wasn't responding to the penicillin. It was just all it was like, it wasn't an infection really. It was like some sort of cyst growth or something. And once it air is infection, because once it got air, killed it. So just like, you can get a wound to scratch to open up. And that's all it was. She lived for another 3 years after that.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you didn't listen to the advice of Facebook friends or veterinarians.
Or some of the veterinarians.
Yeah. I had a similar experience with Odie, not in terms of what was wrong with him, but just in terms of getting really, really different opinions from whichever vet I went to. I'd go to one and they'd say, yeah, he's suffering. You should put him down immediately. It's cruel to keep him alive anymore. And then I'd go, like, I didn't like that answer. That didn't feel right to me. So go to another one who said, oh, it's wrong to put an animal down ever. Don't ever do that. And then, like, I've got that on my shoulders. Like, that didn't seem quite right either. And yeah, the realm of animal hospice care is a realm of a lot of unsolicited opinions from people in your life who probably are well-meaning. But I think what your story highlights is the person who lives with and knows a dog is in the best position usually to make decisions about how their quality of life is. And that's ultimately what you were doing. You were thinking, her quality of life seems intact. We've got this problem, but it's not overwhelming her with suffering so much that she's not still enjoying her life. And it's hard when you're having people tell you, and I had people tell me this too, that you're torturing your dog by keeping him alive. That's, just a piece of advice for people. Don't say that to somebody else. It's not helpful.
Plus, you're not seeing, they're not seeing what you're going through with the dog from day to day.
Although I will say, on the other hand, I think maybe what was motivating your veterinarians and also maybe motivating some of the Facebook comments is that sometimes we do drag things out for an animal because it's so hard to let go. And we have trouble processing our own grief, and we kind of let that overshadow our decision making. And that happened to me a little bit with Odie too. I think we probably didn't act quite as soon as we should have to hasten his death. I don't know. How do you know?
It's hard because they can't talk to you.
It's hard, yeah. But, and part of me thinks it's never right to make that choice for an animal, but I'm not sure I believe that either.
This is why I like the idea, and that's why I told my story, is the idea that you are doing this bioethicist stuff, because we need to have some better guidelines, I think, for our dogs. Like with humans, we'd never do that. I mean, with humans, we make you live even if you don't want to.
I know.
Like, if you're in a coma or you're just like, just plug me, damn it. They're like, no, we're not going to unplug you.
Sorry.
It's against the law. Sorry. Why don't we have that sort of ethics towards
animals? It's really interesting. The comparison of how we treat animals at the end of life, where it seems like the reigning philosophy is you're better off dead. Whereas with humans, it's, oh my God, we cannot be part of that, that action, that, taking somebody's life. We seem very willing to do that with animals, which is strange that we don't have that same resistance.
There seems to be a disposability, and I don't know if that's the right scientific word, but in your bioethicism, there seems to be a disposability to them because they're not human.
Right. And one thing that I think is going on kind of in the background of conversations and thinking about animal euthanasia is the history of our relationship with stray animals and the evolution of a practice in sheltering of euthanizing animals. Euthanasia is the wrong word. It's really dispatching, killing animals who are not part of the population of pets for whatever reason, because they don't behave the way they should, or they're not pedigreed or whatever it is. And the reasons why dogs are excluded from citizenship change over time. But I think we have this really strong connection of euthanasia is an act of, or killing is an act of mercy. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise these animals would be kept alive in the pound, or would die on the streets. And it's a narrative that's got a lot of holding power. I think it's problematic in a lot of ways, but
definitely
it's there in our background. So I think we have this connection with, killing an animal is an act of mercy. And we still say that about the killing of millions of dogs in shelters, that it's an act of mercy on our part, which is kind of strange when you think about it.
There you go. I'll tell you another story that gave me an epiphany into how dogs work, and bioethicist. My last dog, this is the same dog that survived earlier the infection, and she got anal sac cancer, and I couldn't figure out, she was having trouble pooping and there was blood, and I was like, what's going on? She was 15, 16 at that point, so she's pretty old for a husky. Pretty long run. And so we took her into the doc, and the doc, did his test on her. He came back. He goes, I got bad news. She's got anal sac cancer. I've checked her out. She's probably filled with cancer on the inside. I can feel, multiple cysts or whatever they call them in there, polyps. And you're probably, that was the other thing. She'd quit eating for several weeks, and she was drinking like a fish, because she had some buildup of cancer, the calcium in the blood that the cancer does to destroy the kidney and liver. And so he said, I explained to him she quit eating, and he goes, hey, listen, when dogs stop eating, that means they're done. And the drinking means she's filled with cancer. She's trying to offset the pituitary glands, giving too much calcium in the blood that kills the liver and organ. Cancer doesn't kill a dog. Cancer puts forth the mechanisms to kill itself, which is really kind of a suicide when you think about it. It's really weird.
It is.
And so he goes, here's what you need to do. He goes, take 3 days, go say your goodbye, spend the time, come back, and we're going to call the ball. And I said, okay. And it hit me like a locomotive, because we went from happy dog to 3 days. And I said, what's the alternative? He goes, well, listen, the alternative is from what I can tell on the inside, even if they were to cut out, the front of the anal sac cancer that we're seeing growing, it would probably be too big of a hole. And he goes, if you did cancer, you're looking at like $5,000 cancer treatments for the leukemia, or whatever they call it, the radioactive stuff. You're looking at every day she'd have to come in, or every couple of days she's gonna have to come in. They're gonna needle her up. They're gonna pump her full of crap. She's gonna feel like shit, and you're just torturing your dog, dude. She's 14, man. You gave it a good run, call the ball, whatever. And so she wasn't eating, so I was like, okay, well, I guess, I don't know, I'll go take 3 days. And the cost was going to be extraordinary to put her through the thing. But he's like, dude, just putting her through surgery and the torture. What are you doing? She's an old dog. But I mean, you wouldn't say that about your old mom, right? You wouldn't say, hey, mom needs a new hip or a new kneecap. She's had a good run, And what were the ethics there? And so I went home, and I started reading everything about what she had and try to understand it and master it. And I found people online that said they had solved the cancer issues of their dogs by going on a raw, all meat, high fat diet. And I said, fuck it. She's got a death wish. What do we have to lose? We got 3 days.
Yeah.
What do we have to lose? So I tried it. I went and got high fat, those nasty hamburger beef rolls, and put her on it. We tried tuna fish. Yeah. She loved it. She started eating again. She ate it she had like 3 plates of it. And I was like, what is this here? So let's keep going. So later on, I went back to the vet, and the vet goes, she's eating it? That's kind of interesting. Well, why don't you run with it? And he said, I think maybe I misdiagnosed her, but why don't you see how far this goes, and let's just keep monitoring. They gave me some infection stuff, and they gave me, I think, some pain medication for her, and some other things. So I started feeding that to her every day, and we started feeding her this diet, and she started eating like it was going out of style, and she went back to being a fun dog running around. We still could see the cancer growing on the back of her thing. Now, I'll try to skip through a bunch of stuff, but at the end of about a year, I know she was having trouble standing up, and she was falling over, and she was having all sorts of issues. And because the cancer was there, I was like, okay, well, the cancer is getting into her legs. So we made this announcement to have her put down. We went into the doctors, and the doctor says, "Oh, you want to put her down?" And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "What's she still doing? She's still running around peeing, pooping, and chasing treats?" I'm like, "Yeah, but she's falling down now. She can't stand up." And he goes, "You mind if we check her? I mean, I know you want to put her down, but you mind if we check her?" And I go, "Yeah, sure. Do what you want. I don't want to do this." And so they took her in the back, and he comes back. He goes, "Hey, Lynn, she's got bad arthritis, really bad arthritis. And if she's running around peeing and pooping and everything's functioning and stuff, we're pretty sure she's not ready to go. We think we just need to give her some good medication for arthritis, and she'll get walking again." And I'm like, I came here to put her down. I filled out the paperwork. I paid the fee.
Yikes.
I paid the fee. I announced it on Facebook. But here's what he said to me that gave me this epiphany that I set up and blew me away. He goes, "Listen, man." He goes, "We don't think that your dog's ready to get put down, and we don't think she's ready yet. But if you're ready, if you can't take this, if you can't go down this road, then we get it, and we'll put her down." And I was like, holy shit. There's some people who give up early on their dogs because it's harder on them than it is for the dog.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think there's a spectrum there. Like, I think there are people who choose euthanasia for a dog who still has good living to do because they don't have the patience or the drive, or they don't value their dog's life that much, I guess, to put it bluntly. I think on the other hand, decisions about euthanasia are always made in the context of the limitations of people's resources. And one of those is, just caregiving, the burden of caregiving. And that's physical, emotional, financial. And there, it's this really fine balance between what an animal needs and what we have to give. And, with hospice care for an animal, it's often, we don't have, with humans, we have a wonderful hospice support system.
Yeah.
You have nurses coming to offer care, and you have social workers, and you have spiritual guidance, and you have doctors coming in, and all of this amazing contribution and help. And you even have people who come in and give respite care, let you go out and go shopping or just go for a walk or do some self-care. And with animals, you don't have any of that support.
Yeah.
So it's all on you. And sometimes the caregiving needs of an animal are greater than what a person can offer. And, at that point, maybe euthanasia is the most compassionate path for everybody.
Yeah. And it was interesting to me when he said those words. But if you're ready and you can't do this. And I remember thinking, here's a dog that loves me unconditionally. They'll probably never give up on me. And even when I've been a bad dad, ignored them, or, gone on trips and not been back, and sometimes just been not present, not there, not attentive to their needs.
Yeah.
They still love me. And yet in their dark moment, they've been through me 10, 15 years of dark moments and all my trials and tribulations. And I've had people say to me, well, oh my God, dogs are so much work. I'm like, no, I've been a lot of work for 10 to 15 years. Most of my dogs, they haven't even worked for me until in the end, when their health starts to fail. And okay, I got Abby had lived for, I think, 16 years by the time she got done. The interesting thing about that story is she was supposed to only stay alive for 3 days to be put down. She lived for a year and a half in hospice care with me.
That's great.
Now the cancer did get bigger, and it's hard to see it grow on the outside of your dog. Most times when you see cancer, you see on the inside. But you know what got her on the end? The arthritis. The arthritis got her in the end. And in the end, she let me know. Like, she came to me and she was like, I'm tired. I'm beat. I'm done. It's time to call the ball.
Yeah. Did you actually, was there a really clear moment where you knew, or was it? Yeah.
Yeah. It was when she was collapsing on the floor and dragging, and the cyst was bleeding because it had grown large enough. And there was her face really changed, and her nature changed. And she was like she had suddenly gone 50 years older and was more gray. And she just came to me and got my face and was like, this is it. I'm done.
Yeah.
She just couldn't get up anymore, and she was dragging about, and it just wasn't fun anymore. She couldn't run for treats. Until then, the docs for a year and a half were just amazed. They're like, hey, if she's running, pooping, peeing, you call her for treats, she comes.
Yeah.
She's eating, she would eat a whole thing of meat. And most people don't know cancer loves sugar. And so, and it hates fat. And so giving your dogs the fat they wanted. And I've actually saved like a ton of dogs with this diet, just a high fat, all meat diet, and high fat, and feeding them, they're carnivores. They were raised on that. They don't eat carrots. They're not vegetarians. And so feeding on that, I found there was a bunch of people who save their dogs from cancer this way, or delayed. You're never really going to beat cancer because it's going to come back, whether you're human or dog. But I found it was basically a hospice care shelter, save your dog place that you could just go give your dog to if you didn't want to deal with the cancer part of it. And they were feeding them this raw diet. And I was like, well, shit, try it. But yeah, it was really interesting to me. And she came to me, she knew it was time, and she was, she couldn't go up and go potty. She was dragging across the floor. We gave it about 3 days to see if she'd come back, because we were going through kind of ups and downs at that point where she'd drag, but then the next day she'd be fine. And when we went into the vet that last time, they went, yeah, dude, she knows she's done. She wants you to let it go. So was that.
Well, your story is really, it's really inspirational, and is a good reminder that hospice is really an end of life care for animals is limited only by our imagination and what we can. There is so much information available online. There are wonderful veterinarians who focus their career on hospice care for animals, and they know about things like special diets and how to deal effectively with pain from arthritis. And so I think being able to access a veterinarian who has those skills can be immensely helpful. And there's just a lot of good information on the internet. There's a lot of bad information too, of course, but there's a lot of good information and a lot of good, when you were talking, one thing that was coming to my mind were these tools that have been developed by veterinarians for assessing a dog's quality of life, as long as we use them mindfully. But, how do you know if a dog is still wants to stay alive? And so they give you various things to look at, like, appetite is important, but it's not the only thing. And if your dog is refusing to eat, as you found, there are a lot of things you can do short of euthanasia. You can try a different food, because they might just not be liking what they're eating, or maybe whatever medical issues they're facing will be, you'll be better off with a certain kind of diet. And there are drugs that you can use, as with humans, to increase appetite and so forth. So there are just a lot of things you can do, short of just saying, oh, my dog won't eat, therefore euthanasia is the answer.
Yeah. And I think they intuitively know, maybe they don't know, but maybe their bodies know that this isn't helping me. If you're giving that awful over-the-counter food and blah, 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 they're kind of like, hey, this isn't helping me. Anyway, it's been wonderful to have you on again. I didn't realize this. I remember you sounded familiar, and I know we were trying to get you on for a while, but we actually had you on for a Dog's World back in 2021.
Yeah, I've definitely been here.
We do 2-3 shows a day. We did 655 shows last year in 260 days. So I can't feel my legs anymore. So
That's
my apologies
insane.
for not remembering you.
No,
but
that's
I remember
okay.
your book and your stuff. And when I saw the bioethicist, I was
maybe
like,
I
wait.
wasn't very memorable, Chris.
No, you were, because when I heard the bioethicist, I said, wait, because we chased you for a while. I think we chased you for 2 books back. Because I remember we chased you trying to get you on for 1 book, and we couldn't get you. And I'm like, I love dogs. I like that. We're on. And then I think we got you for a Dog's World. And I think you rescheduled once, and we weren't sure if you were coming back. We got you rescheduled. I don't know what it was, but
anyway, here I am.
There you go. So we've got 2 shows in the can from you. Jessica, give us your .com so people can find you on the internet.
www.jessicapierce.net. And I have a blog on Psychology Today's site called All Dogs Go to Heaven, which is relevant to the conversation today.
There you go.
So those are and that's easy to find. Just Google Psychology Today, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Jessica Pierce, and it will take you right there.
I hope my dogs went to hell, because evidently that's where I'm going, according to religious people, and I want to make sure I see my dogs. So
yeah, they're going wherever you are, or maybe you're going where they are.
Yeah, either way. But I know there was that Catholic thing.
Place filled with treats and balls and squirrels and other good dog stuff.
They better have treats and stuff there, because if I show up empty-handed, there going to be some disappointments. Like, seriously, bro? You didn't stop by PetSmart on the way here?
Shame on you.
They're like, I got hit by a car. What do you want from me? Anyway,
go back, get our stuff, and then you can come in.
Yeah, that was that movie Heaven Can Wait from the 70s. Thank you very much, Jessica, for being on the show.
You're welcome.
Really
it was nice to be here.
And folks, order up the book wherever fine books are sold. Jessica Pierce, Who's a Good Dog and How to Be a Better Human, September 6, 2023. Weirdly enough, somebody from my household got a hold of my credit card and ordered the book already. And I think my dogs are trying to tell me something. So I was wondering why there's paw prints on my keyboard. So there you go. Take care of your pups. They're the most important things you'll have in your life, and they'll be the best things for you. And that's why it hurts so bad when they're gone, but you're blessed and should be grateful that you could have something that love you so much that will make that big of a difference in your life. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, everyone. And that should have us out.